Guys, all right, so yes, so while we talk about that, you're like, but wait, I got all this to drive through today. Yeah, we have a lot of issues. We'll get to this for you. Severe weather is likely if you're traveling today. I-20, I-30, I-35. We are going to have the risk of storms with strong damaging winds afternoon, evening, and even into the overnight. Be ready for some very difficult travel there. You want to avoid traveling when you're in the worst of the weather. We've got several rounds coming through, and for Oklahoma City, there'll be some storms this afternoon, around lunch, and then after lunch, there's still the chance for thunderstorms with severe weather into the evening. And then our temperatures plummet. We go from the 60s, even upper 60s today, to 20s and snow tomorrow morning. Steph and Jim.
Well, Dallas and Shreveport on alert for severe storms firing off this evening. It will menace these. But know that you can have widespread tree damage, and, weak structures could also have some issues. So
and we will have tornadoes in this, too, so don't be fooled.
Why are we getting that? Well, let's say around 5,000 feet. This is where you have those strong winds. You get an updraft that grabs those winds, downdraft, bring them down to the surface. So these are those winds, all right? And if you look at the legend at the top, notice those winds. Crank.
Yeah, so there's the low-level jet really coming into play this afternoon, this evening. This coordinates with where we may see these, damaging winds and tornadoes. And here's the other thing, too. At the initiation of that low-level jet there may be, like you were talking about, the discrete supercells that pop up out ahead of the main line. So watch that, too.
Ahead
you may
of that
get
line?
two rounds.
You might have 2 rounds. Everything pushes east. That's where we do have that high wind threat.
Look at that.
There's 6 a.m. right along straddling the Mississippi River Valley. And again, still strong winds in places like Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky. And here's why. Look at that. Just at 5, thunderstorms go to 30,000 feet. So it's grabbing all these winds and bringing them down to the surface.
Actually, what's 900 millibars? Like 1,500 feet or so? They're going to have 70 miles an hour, 1,500 feet. So it's not going to take much to get these
Look at how widespread, Jen, those winds are, though.
Yeah. And you know what? We're going to get it all in Kansas City. We'll have some wind. We'll have the thunderstorms. Yes. We're going to get the ice. We're going to get the snow. A wild ride in store for Kansas City. And with this potpourri of precipitation set to hit the city, rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow, and ice all going to move through, not to mention the wind, of course, and this happens in about 36 hours. So they have 150 dump trucks, 32,000 premix in between. And Ashley, it all has to do with what the atmosphere profile looks like with temperature. It's not just about what's happening at the ground. We got to know what's happening at all levels of the atmosphere. And if it's all warm, it's all rain. If it's warm at the top, over just a little cold at the bottom, it's freezing rain. If there's a little more cold air at the bottom, but still some warm at the top, you get sleet. And then if it's all cold, then you get into snowfall. And so we have to watch this entire event, the profile of the atmosphere, to figure out what you're going to have. Chicago is a great example. You're going to start as rain. In fact, you look at today's Chicago. In the atmosphere, we might have snow up here. We would have snow at 18,000 feet, probably hanging on at about 9,000 feet. But then it's definitely rain at 3,500 feet, where temperature is 45 degrees, stays rain to the surface, where this afternoon temperatures will be above freezing until it starts dropping at the surface at first. So this is lunchtime today, and you can see now we've got snow, we've got rain, we've got maybe rain or freezing rain by the time it gets down to the ground. We'll see. This may be sleet, actually, a little bit more. This is a complicated situation right here, right? Because you have just a little bit of cold air at the surface, still a little nose of warmer air above that. All right, then let's get into 10 o'clock tonight. Now it gets a little easier to forecast. Snow, we've got snow, and we've got snow at the surface because temperatures are now all below freezing throughout the entire profile of the atmosphere. The timing of you, Chicago, real quick, you've got rain, you got a little time where you're probably going to have freezing rain right here, then a wintry mix, and then we get the snow into late evening, overnight, and then Sunday morning. What weather do you want to gain some wisdom about? Send us your questions on social media, either tagging AIMHQ or using the hashtag WeatherWisdom. We will answer them every day at 50 past the hour. Steph, I think the Chicago one was the toughest one yet.
It is. A lot of those cities are going to have those changeovers, and that's why you need to watch the Weather Channel, minute by minute here as this storm continues to develop, because things will be changing. Now, this is where we could see 1/4 of an inch or more of ice. That is going to cause problems on the roads, maybe some spotty power outages, but it's really a nuisance. Once you get up to 1/2 inch, which it looks like we could see here into places like Lansing, Flint, Michigan, that's when you get broken trees, more power outages, and a lot more icy roads. 1/4 of an inch or more, Well, that's when you're talking more crippling event. And that's something that we could see here into portions of Michigan. Lansing, Jackson, 94. It could just be atrocious for us here. Lansing, we start off as rain. This means that Saturday afternoon to the evening, we get ice. And then Sunday, it changes over to Jen. Changes over to Jen.
Speaking of changing over to Jen, changing the shot.
Yes, that's right.
Jen right here.
All right, we're going to get you out the door this morning. But before that, we need to show you a last look at where we could see severe weather. Very large area with likely severe winds.
Yeah, and we're talking about an area that's going to develop